She was working too hard and too much, and one day she decided enough was enough. She was going to take better care of her health, but then realized she had nothing to wear to the gym. The fitness wear brands in the market didn't feel attractive to her as she didn't feel ultra sporty. She just wanted to keep fit, not build a six-pack. It was then that she uncovered a gap in the market for fashionable yet fun activewear. This is how this corporate woman became an entrepreneur despite having no experience with fashion or clothes manufacturing. Hello and welcome to Season 3 of the Womenpreneur Asia podcast, and I'm your host, Krista Gun. Womenpreneur Asia is my way of bringing to you stories of hope, courage, and optimism from inspiring yet down-to-earth women in business across Malaysia and Asia. This episode is sponsored by Redbox Studio. Today, I'm speaking to Chalita Hongsakul from Thailand. Chalita is the managing director of Wakingbee Corporation, a business that combines feminine fashion with activewear. Many women start businesses because they wanted something that wasn't available, and Chalita is one of them. She was wearing to get to the gym, except that she had nothing suitable nor fashionable. She didn't like what she saw. To her, these other brands were all about ultra performance, but what if a woman didn't fit that mold? That she wanted to be feminine yet fit, but fit to her own tune. Not fit as in having a six-pack or muscled or ripped, but fit as she saw herself to be. In this episode, Chalita spoke about seeing a gap in the Thai market, but she also didn't know if the gap was a real gap or perhaps there really wasn't a true market for this type of fitness wear. She decided to find out. Nonetheless, she felt strongly about the idea and armed with her experience as a management consultant and a network of contacts, she decided to start an activewear brand with her best friend in 2015. She also talks about how she marketed the brand then and what has changed since then. She explained how sometimes it isn't what you expect things to be, but it's also surprising in good ways. She kept saying that she was risk-averse, but this risk-averse woman has done really well for herself. And now, let's get to the interview. Hi, Chalita.
Hi, Krista.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much for having me.
Yeah, so where are you today, physically?
Physically, I'm at home. I'm working from home today because Bangkok is under lockdown at this point.
As is most of Asia, I guess.
Unfortunately, yes.
So, Chalita, before we get started, tell us a little bit about your business at present.
Okay, so my business is women's activewear business. Our brand is called Wakingbee. We're based in Bangkok, and we before COVID we have been distributing both online and offline. So we have been established since 2015, so it has been like 6 years. And we have, over the past 5 to 6 years, it has been exciting. We have been growing and looking for new opportunities. And unfortunately, when COVID came into the picture, that gives us a new challenge and something new that we all have to deal with.
Okay. So then let's go back to before you started Wakingbee. What were you doing before that? And were you always entrepreneurial?
Not really. Actually, not at all. I never really imagined myself as an entrepreneur up until I thought about this business. So I did my bachelor degree in finance and my master in business administration. And through all that time, I actually thought of myself as more of someone who worked in like professional service. So after my bachelor degree in finance, I started my career in the finance industry basically. So I worked in private banking and also investment banking. And then I decided to pursue higher education. So I went for MBA in the States at Stanford University. And that is where I started to experience the entrepreneurship spirit because that's kind of the environment that I was in during the 2-year MBA time. But still, at that time, I still thought of myself as, someone who is risk averse and probably more cut out for professional service or corporate kind of career. So I didn't go into entrepreneurship right away, but definitely had it in the back of my mind.
Because of your MBA?
I think that mainly because of the experience during that time. It got me to realize how excited I was when hearing about entrepreneur story, whether it's about success or failure. I think it's the experience or the journey that really makes me feel inspired. But I didn't really, jump into it right away. So after MBA, I continued to build my career in the professional service. So I joined consulting firm and I worked as a business consultant for another 3.5 years. And during those time, it's kind of something that kind of linger in my mind, up to the point where I feel that I should really take some time to think about it. Because, at one point, once you're in a career and you're at one point, you might not want to make such drastic change anymore. So before I get to that point in my life, I feel that I kind of owe myself to explore and decide about it. So at one point I, take some time off work to basically find an answer of what if consulting is not what I would do for the rest of my life? What else would I be interested in doing or creating? And during the same time, there's another factor that came into my mind, that is to, take better care of myself, physically as well. And so as I was thinking about improving my lifestyle in terms of, taking better care of my health, exercise more, eat better, together with another thought of, what business or what projects would I be interested in, they kind of merge. And that put me on this path to create Wakingbee. So
was there a trigger? Was there a trigger? I mean, was this coming in naturally?
It was something that was on my mind at the same time, taking better care of myself and also like doing something exciting for myself too. The trigger was that I made a plan to go to start working out with my friends, and the first thing that came to my mind as a lady was, so what do I wear? What do I wear when I go exercise with my friends? And I was not satisfied with
what you saw.
With my closet. Because I didn't exercise regularly at that point in my life, and so I didn't have anything that feels right in my closet. So I look out. Basically, I went shopping with my friends, and I also didn't find anything that interests me on shelf. And that got me thinking, wow, there must be a lot of people like me who already kind of take first step to, make a lifestyle change, but feel a bit of a letdown because of the little things like not having the right outfit. So from that little feelings that I have, it kind of grew into the business idea of what if I can create this alternative for women like myself, something that would make us feel more confident and more motivated to, take better care of ourselves. And from discussing with people close to me and finding out more information about that, it kind of grow into bigger ideas and got me enough courage to start something fresh.
Okay. But then to me, there must be something that wasn't available, even though there are other, fitness wear or active wear out there. There must be something that you felt didn't resonate with you, and you wanted something that resonated with you. What was that ideal kind of active wear that you were looking for?
So basically, as I mentioned, that I was not a very athletic person. I didn't exercise regularly, so I don't really associate myself as someone who's like very strong and masculine and sporty. But when I shop around, I realized that those are the types of outfits that were available at the time. Because when I look around in the stores or online, women's sportswear felt like men's sportswear with smaller size. The color palette was very,
masculine,
very masculine, and it basically didn't have a lot of variety. And that felt very strange because if you think about fashion, whoever you are, whatever personality you have, you would find clothes that fit you, right? There's a lot of variety, a lot of things that you can, resonate with in the fashion industry, but not in the sportwear section, which is weird. It's like, how come there's such a limited choice in this space, right? Yes, you want your sportwear to be performance driven, but why did it have to come with the trait of style? And I don't mean that there's that what's available is not good style. I meant that it's just that the variety is lacking. And for me personally, what I would have preferred is something more feminine, something that when I wear it and I feel that it didn't really contrast with my character. Right? I just want to live an active lifestyle. I just want to get started. And when I look at the poster they have in the store, I see athletes. I see women with six pack, and I don't.
And really muscle, really muscle looking women, right?
A lot of muscles. Looks very strong.
Yeah. Like they could lift a car. Like they could actually lift a car.
Yeah, literally. So because I don't feel resonated with that, it actually intimidates me, right? And I feel that kind of negative energy is not something that would drive me into like a better lifestyle or more active lifestyle that I actually want to have. Okay. So I felt that something more feminine, more fashion, but definitely with good quality and thoughtful performance, was something that I was looking for and didn't find for myself.
So you were creating that brand for Chalita. And people who want to, people who are in similar situations like you, starting out, wanting something stylish as well as functional.
Yes.
And not finding that in the ultra sporty, ultra athletic wear, right?
Right. Right. I feel that gap was really big because how can there be such limited variety in this section?
Yeah. Okay. Then the other question that I have for you is, it's very quirkily named Wakingbee, which is, to me, it's very cute. And how did that name come about?
So we thought a lot about names. So Wakingbee is a name that captures essentially the story that I told you about, right? Because I want to create an outfit that makes women feel comfortable in their skin, confident, and motivated to exercise, right? So waking is basically waking up, right? And bee is the symbol of activeness. When you think about bee, that's kind of the vibe that you get from this insect, right? So basically, waking the active side of you is what we want our name to convey.
So when you started this business, was it just you or you had other co-founders?
I have co-founders. I have two of my best friends who I convinced to become my co-founder.
Were they also in, like thinking like you, that they were looking at exercise but couldn't find anything suitable?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So they are the people who I bounced idea with from the start. And that's why we realized that, it's something that a lot of women might be looking for and couldn't find.
Okay. And when you started off with your co-founders, what was the most difficult part of it? Besides thinking of the name, of course. The name of the company is always difficult, but what else besides that?
Well, I think what's like the first challenge that we faced was how to actually make it. Right? Where do we get it manufactured? And the reason why I said it's difficult was because what the path that we chose to start is to create a product from scratch. I mean, the alternative, like the easy shortcut to this, was to buy something that is readily available from the factory, and then you kind of just put your logo on it. That would have been a lot easier. But we didn't want to go that route because we felt that there's something missing in the market, right? That means we have to define what's missing, define what the users want, and then make sure that we thoughtfully put that into the design that we will put on the shelf. So that means we have to create something new. So the path that we want to take is to have our own design, develop it with a manufacturer that is, high quality, world class level, so that we have a product that we are confident in. And me and my friend, we all left our career to do this, so we want to do it right, basically. And so, like I said, the first challenge was to figure out how to get it manufactured, right? So I mentioned, right, world class manufacturer.
Yeah. Yes.
So you can imagine, right? Fortunately, Thailand is actually a manufacturing base for a lot of global brands, activewear brands. So we do have that capability in our country. But that also means that these are the manufacturer that serves such a big client, right? So it's going to be very difficult to get their attention. So I think that was the first challenge to us, and what I came to realize later on was how important it is to have a manufacturer that really it kind of looked beyond just commercial arrangement and felt that they want to be part of our journey. Because if they only think about the commercial side of things, like we are a very small company, we basically have no track record at that point, right? So there was not a lot of reason why they would, need to work with us. But we were lucky to find someone who felt that, wow, we never have like a Thai local brand that wants to, do all these things, and they want to kind of be part of it. And it's always, that's someone in the organization that think that way. And once we can find that, we can get started.
But did you convince them or did they convince you?
We had to convince them. We have to share them our plan basically and what we have in mind and that we're serious about this. And over time, over the past 5 to 6 years, we worked with multiple manufacturers. And all of them are the people who said that they want to support what we do and want to be part of it. So we have been lucky. It has been difficult to find them, but we've been lucky. And the current manufacturer that works with us actually invests in our company as well.
Oh, so that's another step.
Yes, definitely. So that just kind of take the collaboration to the next level, and we've been very fortunate with that.
When you first started, did you raise your own capital or did you get funding in some way? Because it is intensive, right? It's a capital intensive business.
It's a capital, well, relatively speaking, not so much. You have to definitely invest in stock because with this manufacturer, they would have like minimum quantity that to produce with them, right? And that would be like a lot of stock for us to start with. But I guess in comparison to other kind of business, it's not as much. So we bootstrap our own investment. We didn't look out for funding. And that kind of relieve us from the pressure of, so basically we have to put our client and ourselves first in starting this business to be the way that we envision without any exterior pressure, basically.
Would it have been different if you took on other people at the beginning to fund your business?
I don't know. I mean, because we didn't really think about that.
Because later the manufacturer came in, right? And became like invested money or invested what they had with you, right?
Yeah, I mean, but that was like that was only like almost 2 years ago. So only recently.
Okay.
But I think from the start, we didn't think that capital was the most critical factor. Because for us, it's like getting the product right and testing whether what we envision to be the right product for ourselves is actually the right product for the market as well. Because, when you think about it, something that is not available for a very long time, maybe not available for a reason, right?
Yeah. Maybe there's no market for it, right?
Yeah. So you wouldn't know. Yeah. So we had to make sure that we test that concept first to see if there's really a demand for what we have in mind. Yeah.
So it meant you started out by producing the product and putting the product out there to see whether the market accepted it.
Yes.
And loved it as much as you all did. Could I say that? Yes. So that's your way of testing, all right? Whether the market was accepting.
Yeah, because that's the first, that was basically our hypothesis, right? And when during the process of developing and thinking, planning for the business, what you do is you ask around, but it can be different with the actual market once you launch. So I think testing and having that mindset of testing, exploring are very important from the start, because you want to take that feedback and into shaping your next collection, right? Shaping your path forward.
So now that you've been running your business for a while, what surprises you about this industry? Or what is no longer surprising?
I think the big thing that surprised me was essentially our journey of finding our manufacturer. Because before we got into this, if I have to think about, finding a vendor, I would think about okay, maybe I should approach a few and then ask them to give me the price so that I know which one has the best price and, can match the production attribute that I look for. But actually, once you get into talking to them, looking for them, negotiating, or basically uh, building a relationship with them, that that connection or that um, feeling that they get you and they want to support you and they want to be part of this journey, that emotional engagement is very, very important. And it wasn't in my mind when I started. I didn't realize how important that would be. And I guess for starting a business, for many entrepreneurs, that's the kind of thing that you need to find, like people who would support you. And we didn't have to raise fund, right? So that person is not an investor, but comes in the form of a manufacturer who wants to work with us to develop the products that we have imagined.
And probably also believe in
Yeah,
your dream because you're starting out, something that's really new, like you said, and you
yeah,
don't know whether it's going to work or not.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's they have to kind of believe in what we're trying to achieve, and work with us on that. So they're really, really part of our effort.
So it's not so much about like how much can you make this for?
Yeah, exactly. It's not.
Can
that.
you meet our
No.
turnaround times? Right? This is not just not. It's beyond that. It's not even not that. It's just beyond that. Yeah.
It's beyond all the KPIs that I had in mind back from when I was the business consultant, right? So it's basically convincing someone to believe in your vision.
Then in the early years, once you've found your manufacturer of choice, how do you market your product?
We started online because online is definitely more cost effective, especially for startup. To have a brick and mortar store, that would take a lot more investment, right? So I think for us at the time was like, okay, we want to test to see if the market likes our product and see how it goes. So online is basically most cost effective. And then we use social media to basically be our storefront, right? So we want to make sure that the visual of our social media represents our branding, represent what we want to convey as something new to this industry. So we want to. So that's why all the pictures that we post, like photos and everything, has to be thoughtfully planned. Because basically that is our storefront. So when people come in there, we need to feel it right away. What do we want to achieve?
Do you have any specific channels that you preferred when you were doing your marketing?
Instagram was a very key channel for communication for us. And Facebook, and endorsement of opinion leaders in the industry. Basically whoever that we can reach out to do and then let them try on our products and then give a shout out for us. So that was something that was that worked effectively at that point in time for a completely new business like ours. And to complement with the online experience, we want to be able to let some of the new customer touch and feel the product before they make the purchase decision. But of course, we were too small to be in the department stores or have our own shop, right? So we have to leverage through the health and wellness community to consign our product into their physical space. So basically, for example, like yoga class, or yoga uh,
Studios, right?
workshop, yeah, studios, fitness studios, like they would have like a small corners where we can present our products, and so their customers can see and get to know about us, and also we can send customers who curious about the product but want to get a feel of it first to go to those places. So that was kind of like a bridge for us to be able to offer something physical without heavy investment in the start.
Eventually, did you go to brick and mortar?
Yes, definitely. So over time, we would be able to have enough track record to get into department stores. So we got to expand as a counter inside the department store. Right? So, for example, an activewear department within department store, and we can be part of that section. So that allow us to be in prime location in like prime department stores in Thailand, and expand with them.
Was it hard to get into department stores in Thailand?
I would think so, because they also want to make sure that whatever the product that they put in the department stores are of high quality and people really want it, because for them it's important that every square meter, is
profitable.
Yeah, is profitable. So that's why, we have to convince them that we're ready. We're ready in terms of the inventory as well, because we need to make sure that there's enough of the inventory and freshness of the collection to keep their space exciting, right? And that we will have the capability to expand with them. Because if it's successful, then they wouldn't want to do it for just one branch, and they want to expand, right? So we have to convince them that we're ready for that. So we were able to be in now 11 branches in department stores. And then later on, after we, so basically we started online. We moved into online plus like fitness studios, yoga studios, right? And then we gradually moved into department stores. And then after that, we invested in our own shop. Yeah. So the last part is the most expensive.
Did you get any investors, or do you also self-funded?
Self-funded.
Okay.
The reason why it's important for us to get to that level, to have our own store, was that we felt that to communicate about our branding, we do need a physical person that really kind of embody what we need to, what we want to communicate. So being in department store is important in terms of being distribution channel. But there's limited things you can do inside a department store, right? But with your own store, you can have a decoration. You can have, basically build it the way that you felt represent you the most.
And the aesthetic, right?
Yeah,
the aesthetic of it, yeah.
Yeah, and also not just aesthetic, but the service, right? People who are there as your salesperson, and also the experience that you can connect back to online as well. So basically, our loyalty program that we have for our customers connect between our shop and our online store. So customer who buy and collect points, I want to use points, so accumulate so that they move up the tier to get benefits as a member. All of that, they will have a seamless experience between our website and our shop. And that's what we can achieve with having our own store.
Okay. So it means you've come a long way since the time you started, from looking for your manufacturer to now having your own location, right? Your own stores.
Right.
But how do you, I know you've talked about marketing and all that, but what I would say that in order to sustain and survive all these years, you must have been doing something that's unique or something that's relevant to your customers or something that really is innovative in the eyes of your customers. Do you have any specific examples of those things that you did besides the stores and of course how you grew from your online to offline?
I think one thing that as a brand is very important is how you develop an identity and make sure that every part of your business think back to that identity. And that's the only way that you can convince the customer to see you in the way that you want your branding to be. So for us, when we started, we don't want to be like what's available, right? We want to be different. And by different, I meant something more feminine, something that is more fashion oriented, but still have the performance behind it, right? So for us, when we think about the product is a big piece of our business, right? When we think about the product, we always have that lens that's think back to that identity that I mentioned. So the color that we choose, the prints that we choose, all the details that we put women's first when we design, right? How you want your padding to be, where do you keep your phone, right? You would pants without phone, but how about shorts? Like if you put your phone in your short, it will go everywhere, right? So where do you hide it? Things like that. So we put women's first when we develop the product, and then sing it back to the identity of the brand. So I think that was the first thing that we try to do. And then of course the marketing, like all the visual that we like when we do photo shoot, we also have that lens in mind. That's it think back to our identity of being feminine, and like we do basically like being feminine, strong, but in our own way, right? So basically, like every pieces of the business must connect to the identity that we need to have, and that would be how new brand like us start to have present in our customers' mind.
Do you work with any designers, or do you have in-house designers?
We have in-house designers.
So would that be the recipe for your success? Or
I think that would be the first thing. Because if you go all over the place and try to be everything, then it doesn't stick, right? So I think that developing an identity and then sticking with it is the first piece that is very important. And then the next thing is keeping yourself exciting and relevant. So for us, well, first of all, like our visual will have to sing back to our identity, right? But as I mentioned, that performance is also very critical for our product. And that's something that we accumulate knowledge and our resources over time to offer more and more innovation, right? So we have to think about, okay, what do our user want? How to take our product to the next level. So for example, right, we have, if you think about sports bra, you know that it would be classified as high support, medium support, and light support, right? So that's for the sports bra, and we do have that. But we also think about that from the leggings perspective as well, because you would have a different level of support from your leggings, and you would need it for different kind of activities, right? If you do yoga, you do want full flexibility. You want it to be very soft and like kind of like a second skin. But when you do go for running or something more cardio, you want it to be tight and supportive. So actually level of support is not just for your bra, but also for your leggings. So we source and produce leggings that we can classify into different level of support, something like that, right? So and that was relaunched in middle of last year, our legging series that classify our legging into firm fit and flow fit. Firm fit would be like very high supportive. You wear it and you feel that your shape.
You're lifted. You're lifted, right? From the bottom.
Everything
bottom
is
up.
like in the place where it needs to be. And we have another one that we call flow fit. That would be for something more flexible, very soft, and like second skin. And we have that label for all of our legging in our store so that when customers see it, they would be able to know what to expect. And it needs to really give them that kind of feeling when they try it on. So that was the kind of innovation that we, put in. We also want to create excitement from special collaboration. That helps a lot too. Because it's when we collaborate with another brand or another person, then it gives something new to the product, right? Because our product, as I mentioned to you, that we always think back to our identity. That means it carries certain personality, right? When you have someone or some other brand to collaborate with, then it gives a little bit of flavor to it. So that's what we do almost every year, to have a special collaboration with Thai actress or like high fashion brand. So the latest one we did was in early this year. We collaborate with leading Thai fashion high fashion brand to launch a collection that have both activewear and swimwear. And that was.
So does it mean that you can wear that even if you're not going swimming?
Yeah, of course. So we have a lot of pieces. Some pieces are specifically for swim, but some pieces are for both. You can use it for sport and swim. Yeah. So
it's dual purpose.
Yeah, we call those pieces swim and sweat.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So that's another angle of innovation as well, right? Because we source for the fabric that can support you in both of those activities. Yeah. And the collaboration make it very exciting because customer would be like, wow, you know, sportswear and high fashion can be together, and that really sparked a lot of interest, and it was we got really good feedback for that collection.
Yeah, it sounds really innovative. Sounds like you've found some sweet spots in what you're doing right now, starting from the fact that you were looking for something for yourself and that it has evolved into where you are now. Then let's talk a little bit about your childhood. So we talked a lot about your business. We talked a lot about how you started, right? But what was your childhood like? And because you were saying that you came from the corporate world to become an entrepreneur, but in your childhood, were there any instances that you were inspired by someone or your family member who was also in business or ran a business?
So actually, my family has our family business. So actually, so entrepreneurship is not totally new in my family. But I also noticed how difficult it could be, right? It could be very challenging. You could end up taking a lot of risk. And it's not always like rosy, and it's not always about success. You could also make mistakes and fail, right? So there's a lot of things that can happen. And that's why growing up, I kind of see myself as risk averse person, and I felt that having my own business is kind of not something that fit my risk appetite.
But what business was your family in, if you don't mind sharing?
My grandfather did a different business, but the main one is rice export. So in export business, yeah, and I mean it has its own challenge. And yeah, so I think he has been successful, but also faced challenges, from time to time, and that's why I kind of knew that it could be challenging sometimes as well. And I think it gives me a realistic perspective, right? Because if I have absolutely no background in this, then I might think of owning a business as something that is like, oh wow, super positive, must be like pure freedom, have your own business and all that. And I knew from the start that it wasn't the case. So it kept me realistic. So I think in a way I would say that it scared me when I was younger, but it keeps me practical when I grew older. Yeah. And my family is very flexible with my choice. So a lot of family with family business might have expectation that the next generation will have to carry on their business. But that is not the case with my family. So I have my freedom to choose whether I wanted to go into professional service or even do my own business. Like they would support me anyway. So that was something that I felt was a luxury for me.
Are any of your siblings in the family business?
I have two younger sisters, and they both are doing their own business in food.
Also, food business, but not in the family business.
No, not in the family.
So you're pretty entrepreneurial then. I guess your whole family is, your siblings and you are in business, but of course in today's businesses, not in the rice export or import business, right? Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So when you were younger, what do you want to be? Since you said that you a little bit risk averse. I mean, I'm sure you didn't grow up saying, "Oh, I think I want to be a consultant."
Well, I kind of know that I wanted to get into business. So when I made the decision to do a bachelor's degree in business, it wasn't something that is a surprise to anyone. I guess I kind of know that business is interesting. I just thought that I would approach it from the corporate angle or from the professional service angle more than creating something from scratch.
Which you did. Which I
did essentially.
Which you did eventually, right?
Yeah.
I mean, all those years of learning about it, studying about it, in the end, you created a business from scratch.
And I think for each of us, we kind of need to figure out what would be the right moment. I think if I were to want to do this so again much earlier than this,
yeah,
I might not be as ready.
But how do you know? How do you know that readiness level? That's the hardest thing, right? I mean, I know that is a tough question to answer, but how do you know that that's that moment that you decide, okay, this is it, I'm going to do it, risk averse or not?
Well, I think part of the readiness coming from how much you actually believe in that idea. Because I have a lot of friends from my university, right? So we always talk about, this business idea, that business idea, but it was just kind of just a fun conversation to have. But when we talk about this, it felt very real. It felt very possible. And I think that when you really believe in the idea, it's probably half of your readiness. And the other half is figuring out whether it's something that you want to jump into or not. And for me, it means letting go of the career that I was already in. At that time, I thought about the trade-off. And I think that timing was right for me because I felt that I have knowledge from like experience from work, from corporate life that I can, and also the network that I have in the past could help me somewhat pieces all the puzzle together for this. And if all things fail, and I have to go back to the job market again, I think it would still be that would still be, you know, opportunity for me there. So I think having that kind of safety net in mind allow me to, you know, take the chance basically. And another thing is that I felt that that was the point in time when I was really making the decision for myself because I was not married, I didn't have kids by that time, no dependent. So the decision could be purely for me, and and if I wait, I might not feel that I have the freedom to think that way.
And now I presume you have kids and you have family, right?
Right.
So it will be a different decision now.
Could be.
Versus, yeah, it could be, right? Because it
could be very different.
So many different things, so many different factors to consider.
Definitely. It's leaving a stable, leaving stability to get into something completely new. It's not something that you might want to do as the mother of one. I don't know.
How old is your child now? Yeah, how old is your child now?
She's almost 3 now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So motherhood and all that, yeah.
So I think like it's just that at that time I felt that I was really making the decision for myself, and that got me to make that step.
Okay. And what are you no longer afraid of after going through so many things in life?
So I think fear is another thing that I had in my mind at that time as well. Because, you know, when I think about other business idea before that, my fear was, oh, what if it failed, right? What if it didn't work? But when I was thinking about Wakingbee, that mindset kind of shift. I was more afraid of not getting to try. Like it's kind of like I wasn't so afraid of it failing. I was more afraid of not getting to do it at all and not seeing it through. So I think, that was the mindset change that I had at that time, and it kind of stuck with me, you know, up until now. That sometimes it's just that I was more afraid of not getting to take a shot more than afraid of if it fails. Yeah.
And now that your business has been running for a while now, what's in the future for Wakingbee?
So
pandemic or not? Pandemic or not?
Pandemic or not?
Yeah.
There's a lot of things that we have in our pipeline. And we, for now, we have to kind of hold that back a little bit, to wait until the pandemic situation gets better. So there's a lot of things that we want to pursue. We still want to, seek for opportunity abroad. Definitely. We actually, have distributor in, Hong Kong and Taiwan. So that allowed us to see how it goes in a different country. But due to the pandemic, we didn't have a chance to kind of have the same start in other countries, right? So we hope to be able to resume that exploration later on. And in Thailand as well, there's a lot of things that we can do in terms of not just online but physical experience, right? So that has to kind of wait a little bit. I think for us, it's we have grown a lot from where we started in the beginning, and now we want people to consider us the way that they would consider global brands. Right? I mean, customer in Thailand, when they think about sportswear, we want them to consider us alongside as mainstream global brands. And that I think that would be what I aspire to be, because we offer something different. Right? It's not about the price. It's about something that differentiate visually from other products available.
Okay. What about personal goals? Do you have any personal goals for yourself? I know you have a goal for your business.
Once you're an entrepreneur, you kind of combine that. I mean it, because that's kind of how you live and breathe.
Yeah, it kind of becomes like together, right?
Yeah.
It's like a melded goal rather than an individual personal versus business goal.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. 2 questions before we end. Okay, what's the craziest thing you've ever done?
And you asked a risk-averse person this question.
I don't know, because you're risk-averse and you started this brand. You started something that was not available. I'm sure besides starting the business, what other crazy things have you done? It could be personal.
No, I didn't jump off the plane or anything like that.
You do bungee jumping.
I did jump off the cliff, but it wasn't that high.
Okay. So would you consider nothing in your life that's a little bit crazy that you've done? A little bit out of the ordinary. I wouldn't say really crazy, but something that's unusual.
So I'm not the kind of person who go for crazy for craziness, that's for sure. But I guess like something that is, well, kind of go back to how I thought about this business from the start. When I try to have a more like active lifestyle, that was something that actually I didn't think that it would be possible.
Why?
Because I'm really not a sporty person. It wasn't, something that I look forward to, right? At that time. But I knew that I need to do something to be able to have a good health. But yeah, I mean, imagining myself going to the gym regularly or doing yoga or run regularly is something that was not really not myself at that time. I still remember when I went for my first training session in a fitness, and the trainer asked me what would be my goal. He asked me if I want to lose weight or basically like if or maybe if I want to fit into my wedding dress or something like that. So that's what he asked me. Yeah. And then I told him, no, I didn't want to lose weight. I just want to see myself as someone who exercises regularly.
Did that disappoint him?
No, because during the last 5 years, I actually gradually adopt that lifestyle. and still not an athletic person and still don't have six pack. But I run regularly. I do yoga regularly, and I think that I am much better at keeping an active lifestyle than before. It's a little things. It's definitely a little things for maybe for other people, but for me, this is something that was once kind of really not me.
Okay. So you also bought into your own Wakingbee dream. I mean, you had to buy into it, of course, but you actually live the dream, right? You have to live being that active, but still, set. We didn't talk about this, but I want to talk about the hashtag sensible sweat, right? So I think that comes into play, right? The hashtag that you chose for Wakingbee. Yeah.
Yeah. So this hashtag sensible sweat, we actually just came up with it a few years ago. It wasn't from the start, but a few years ago when we want to kind of refresh our brand a little bit, and we want to refresh the story that we tell to tell our audience. And we came up with this hashtag sensible sweat because for us, it's not about exercising to chase after a medal, or become an athlete or whatever. Basically, we want to empower women to find their own goal, find their own pace, and just kind of be happy accomplishing that. We call it sensible sweat because it's like you define your own sensible sweat, right? Whether it's like running 10K every day or
do you do that
5K every other day.
How much do you run?
I do about like 8 to 9 every other day. Not every day.
But that's still a lot.
Yeah. So I think like for me, it's something that is in my mind. Like I want to find that balance for me. And I hope that this hashtag also kind of empower our audience to think about what balance for them as well. Because right now we have a lot of, bloggers or content, online content, right? Sometimes you read about this person or watch a video of this person doing such an intense workout and lose that much weight in a month. And then you tell yourself, oh, I have to do that as well. And then you might do it for a few days and then you just stop because it's not sustainable, because it's not your goal. You just adopt it from someone else. So I think sensible sweat is finding the right balance for yourself, what it means to have an active lifestyle in your own terms, and just be happy going after that. And that speaks to me personally, and I think it speaks to a lot of our customer as well. And I think it's just something that is important to keep in our mind. And that it doesn't mean light or it doesn't mean, harsh.
Heavy.
Yeah, it doesn't mean, it just means that you find your own pace.
And you define it, right? You define what is best for you.
Yeah.
For your
because
body.
You know best. Yeah, you know best about your body, and it's the only way to make it sustainable.
Yeah. And of course, do something you enjoy.
Yeah.
Okay, final question before we close this episode. What's that one key takeaway that you want listeners listening to us today to go home with, or at least to think like, oh, okay, I take this away from this episode?
I think from the start, there was there was a lot of times when people around me make me unsure, right? I might get questions like, you don't have a degree in fashion. How can you do this? Or you don't have, you don't know someone who have factory that can produce for you. How can you do this? What I'm saying is that when you have an idea, there'll be a lot of people around you that might make you feel that it's too much or too little or just not the right choice for you. And I think if it feels right, you will make it right. Because for me personally, yes, I didn't have a degree in fashion. I didn't have, a factory or connection into the industry or whatnot. But I just need to figure out what are the factor that is important, what are the pieces of the puzzle, and how to make each of them kind of come together, right? So I think it's just that once you find something that you believe in, just focus on getting it shaped up. People can give you comments or advice, but at the end of the day, it's basically you who have to decide whether this is something that you want to do and be committed to it.
Great advice.
Thank you.
Thank you. And where can people find you online or your brand?
Our brand can be found on Instagram and Facebook. Wakingbee, WAKINGBEE, and also our website www.wakingbee.com.
Okay. Thank you so much, Chalita. I enjoyed myself talking to you today, and I think I learned a lot from you too, especially when it comes to, I had questions that was like, okay, I needed to get to these questions, but I think because we had such a, I would say rather seamless conversation, I managed to put all those questions in and I managed to get the answers that were a little surprising because I didn't know about the part that you are risk averse at all. It didn't come across as risk averse. I thought you were very entrepreneurial. And well, at least most of the Thai women I know are very entrepreneurial in one way or another. So I felt that you were naturally entrepreneurial in that way. But thank you so much for a great interview. Thank you for sharing with us also some of the earlier parts where you started and some of the things that you did. And yeah, at the end of the day, I think it's just finding the balance for ourselves and what works for us, right? Whether it is in life or even in business.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. So thank you so much. We'll see you again.
Thank you.
Did you like this episode? Let me know when you head on over to our website for all the show notes at womenpreneurasia.com. And do take the survey when you reach our website. I would really appreciate your feedback as it helps me to know a little bit more about you. If you're sharing this on your social media, please use the hashtag WomenpreneurAsia. In next week's episode, I'll be speaking to Padmaja Vaswani from India, who has more than 20 years of experience in entrepreneurship. She's the founder and CEO of Shiksha Group, which offers learning and development. She's also the CEO of News Navigation in India, specializing in executive coaching and organization transformation solutions. And she's also the co-founder of We Mantra, an organization that enables individuals and organizations to identify and break barriers in order to co-create a diverse and inclusive ecosystem that unleashes human capital and growth. She also established the Shiksha Meha Foundation in 2006, a trust that supports children with cancer, autistic children who are orphaned, and education for talented children from lower economic strata. I'll see you next week.